I'm Chelsea Markham from Hazel and Ruby, and I'm here today to teach you how to make these crocheted bows as well as some simple crocheting tips. So in your package, you will have 3 different colors of yarn, your recipe instruction card, as well as your crochet hook, a little pin that you can apply to the back of your bow, or a hair clip to apply to the back of the bow, a needle, and a needle threader. You will also need some scissors for this project. To start off, I like to leave the yarn on the spool just because it's easier to keep it all contained there and it's not going to get tangled. So you're going to want to create a slip knot. So you create a loop, come up and under that loop and pull it tight. You can then use this little tail to change how big your loop is so that you can attach that right to your needle. All right, so a basic crocheting stitch, you're going to want to yarn over. You'll see that in a lot of crocheting templates, which just means you bring your yarn across your needle and you pull that hook down through. So that's going to be 1 chain. And you want to keep these a little bit loose just so that you can have a nice full bow like these. If you find that you're going a little bit tighter than you want, it is really easy to just take that hook off and start over. It takes some getting used to. So for this project, we're going to start off by chaining 25. Once you get to the end of your chain, which looks something like this, you're going to yarn over and go into the side of the 3rd stitch. So you're just going to catch that little edge right there and come up into that. So now you should have 3 little loops on your hook. So you're going to yarn over again and come down through that 1st loop. So you still have 3 on there. So you're going to yarn over one more time and pull through all 3. So that's going to be your stitch. And you're going to continue this stitch in each loop going all the way down your chain. So once again, you yarn over, come up into that loop, yarn over, go down through the 1st, yarn over, go all the way down. So you're going to continue that all the way down. All right, so once you get to the end of that row, you should have a lovely double crocheted piece, but we want one more row on this before we make our bow. So once you've gotten to the end, you're going to yarn over and chain 2. So once you have those 2 chains, you're going to yarn over again, and just like we did on the first time, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, go down to that 3rd loop, and do yarn over, chain, yarn over, go through all 3, just like we were doing in the previous ones. And you're going to go all the way back down that row. So once you've completed both rows, you're going to have this nice little piece of crocheted yarn, and we're going to fold those 2 ends to meet in the middle. And in the back, we're going to take another piece of yarn that we have left over. We're going to take our needle and our needle threader. All right, so you're going to take that piece of yarn and put it through this needle threader so that you can get the nice fat hole of the needle through that yarn, and take that off and set it aside. So now with that, you're going to tie a little knot at the end. And just kind of weave this yarn through the 2 ends of the bow. This will just secure it in the middle. You don't have to go through very many times, just enough to keep it in place as you wrap the middle of the bow in a minute. you can finish that off with a small knot. It's going to get wrapped up so you don't have to be too worried about it coming apart. And trim off that end. At this point, you can also either tuck up the ends of your crocheting into the middle, or you can trim them off. I'm going to tuck them up in just so I don't have that little piece of fluff hanging out the edge of my bow. So with the remaining yarn that you have left on your spool, we're going to create the middle of the bow. And this part is really easy, but it just creates that definition in the middle that makes it actually have the shape of a bow. Starting in the back with all those little pieces tucked up, I'm just going to start wrapping. You can wrap it tighter if you want a tighter look in the middle, or looser. It really doesn't matter, just whatever you aesthetically want it to look like. But you do want to try and keep an even pressure so that when you look at the front, it just has a nice shape to it. And also make sure you're staying in the middle because it's a little bit harder to move it once it's been wrapped. So I'm not going to use all of this extra yarn because I want it to not be too fat in the middle. So I'm going to trim that off. And then you can either use your needle to slide this under one of the pieces. I'm just going to use my fingers because it's not that tight, and create a little knot to secure that in the back and pull that tight. And if you're paranoid like me, you can do a double knot. And trim that off. So now we have our bow. And at this point, you can use an alligator clip or this little pin so you can make it into a brooch. You can, once again, either use your needle and extra yarn to stitch that on, or you can get out your hot glue gun and glue those to the back. Either way, it creates an adorable little accessory. We also, you can use it for other things like a necklace, use an old chain and attach it there. You could put it onto a bag. You could put it pretty much anywhere that you can pin it or glue it. You can use that. And you can also use the skills that you've now learned how to make a basic crocheting stitch to create other crocheted projects. For more projects like this, please visit hazelandruby.com.